Oh my goodness. I'm not coming out of my Texas warm blanket. It is a Texas blanket, by the way. I'm not coming out of my Texas, but it's the frozen tundra up in this thing today. I don't know where you're at today, but the temperatures have dropped here in Nashville, and I don't like it. All right. So if you're in a warm place, I first of all want to just give you a shout out here. Here's a little image of what it is that we're dealing with here in Nashville today. We've got some ice that's out there. We've got a situation where there's going to be cold temperatures. You guys know I love that, and even colder temperatures. And so I may just do the show from the blanket today, or I may not. Get this thing out of here. Oh, just broke something. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning into the Erskin Music Show. I'm just going to give a shout out to some places I know that are way warmer than we are here in Nashville today. If you're in Africa today, my people in Africa, you are much warmer today. I can guarantee you, I don't care where you are, you're much warmer than we are here today in Nashville. For the folks that are in India who are tuning in and watching this, thank you guys so much for joining us and being a part of this experience. Oh, it just warms my heart. But you are much warmer. In fact, the time that I was in India, one of the things that I love so much about being there was that I pretty much go outside every day. It's going to be the same temperature. It's going to be hot. It's going to be hotter. And I love that about India. And some of the other places like Texas, you're warmer today. Johnson City, you're probably not warmer today. So Kansas City, you're definitely not warmer. I was talking to some friends in Iowa yesterday, and they are remarkably colder than we are here in Nashville. So I should not complain. It's a great day. The Lord is on his throne. We got John Martin Keith, who's coming on here in just a few moments. And so it is going to be an even greater day. We're going to get a chance to chat. If you're joining us today for the topic of conversation, our top story for today, which is our special guest, then you'll want to hang on for a few minutes because he's going to be on in just a minute. But I got an intro. We got to be good to the people out there. Where's our subs at? Hey, if you're watching us on YouTube Live, continue doing that. But remember to enable the buttons and subscribe, Facebook Live, and also for Twitter. So the comment section is turned on, as you guys know, and I love snarky comments. In fact, the snarkier, the better. In fact, yesterday, the show was hijacked by cats, which that doesn't surprise me. That happens from time to time. I am, as people have often recognized, a cat psychologist. And so the show from time to time will get hijacked by cats. All right, so real talk. For those of you who were watching yesterday and who were a part of this experience, and we had more conversation on this show about cats than we did Christ from the comment section. And so comment section is turned on, but remember, I can also turn you off. But I do like snarky comments, and the people on this show never seem to disappoint. So thank you guys for joining the Erskin Music Show again. We've got a special guest today. I want to bring guests on maybe once or twice a week. It is the Erskin Music Show, and so these are all associates and people in the Erskin music ecosystem I come into contact with, and you guys are going to get a chance to glean from the special relationship that I have with John Martin Keith and how that has blessed our family, blessed me over the years, and I'm sure this is going to be a blessing to you guys. But let's get to it today. Did you know that of all the celebrations for today, what is today, people? It is National DJ Day. Terrence, where you at in the comment section? Because when I was talking about Winnie the Pooh Day the other day, you were like, I ain't celebrating none of those days. Bah humbug. Well, sir, today is your day. And for all the DJs that are out there, today is your day. All right, so here we go. National DJ Day. Let me share this with you guys. I don't know who this is on the screen, but you know, if you're a DJ out there and you're doing party mixes and everything, this is your day. Check this out. Let's do this. National DJ Day. It is a real thing. I'm not just making that up. I'm not just doing this for rhetorical and sound effects. You might want to work on this at some point, but it happens every year, January 20th. Just be ready for it. It stems from the one famous jock, Alan Freed, who you might have known as Moondog in the 1950s, a DJ who coined the term rock and roll. Yes, it is the reason that we honor DJs on January the 20th. On this day, we celebrate the talents of all the disc jockeys from DJ disc jockey. Okay, we got it. From those playing the chicken dance for the millionth time. Okay. To those who are doing weddings, radio personalities. We had Rockin' Ron Carino, one of my DJ friends, on the show. That was probably one of the highest rated shows. Everybody loves Rockin' Ron. So DJs get much love on this show, and others that help with their morning commute. In fact, kind of snuck onto the scene on Monday because we weren't really sure that we were going to be able to do it, but with Moody Radio, I was there as a co-host on that Frozen Tundra day as well. For some reason, it has been way colder this year in Nashville than it normally is. I have no idea what's going on here. Could it be global warming? We'll have another show on that later. National DJ Day takes place every year on January the 20th. On this day, we celebrate amateur and professional DJs who spin records and play the grooviest music. I didn't write this, obviously, at the right time. The music is usually played in front of a live audience, but televised or recorded music sessions are also available. The most common types of DJs are club DJs, radio DJs, party DJs, and a shout out to my boy, Terrence, DJ Rock On, turntable DJs. I see you. The first ever disc jockey was actually the result of an experiment on live radio. A 16-year-old boy named Ray Newby. Put that down in your notes for trivia. This is for trivia, people. You will win trivia games with this. Ray Newby, Newby, played some recorded music on air, catalyzing a movement that started, where did it start? California, of course, and spread to the entire world. At this time, the term disc jockey did not even exist. Did you know that it took about 25 years before this term was used in radio commentator by the name of Walter Winchell to describe music that was broadcast on air? It was also a primary source of music for records and CDs, digital playlists, so on and so forth. It just continues to go. On January the 20th, DJing and influential DJs are celebrated. Come on, let's give them some, shout outs here. You got a clap or something here for them? No, here we go. That's my record scratch. I'm practically DJing on the show. And so we're going to harken back today and give a lot of credit to Alan Freed, a.k.a. Moondog. He was famous for pushing rock and roll music and popularizing the term. Thanks, Alan. Thanks, Ray Newby. And thank you to all you DJs that are out there. All right. Well, that was a segment. Where are we at here? That we affectionately know as...
That's weird.
But you didn't hear or come on here to hear me talk about weird commentary today. You can get that anytime, but you cannot get our guest anytime. And so let's get the doorbell ready. They're at the door and they are getting ready to come in here. They're gonna do a car horn. All right. Well, we're gonna welcome him in with a dolphin today and some fireworks. Get on in here, man.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show. We got some fireworks for you.
Good morning. Thank you.
Again, our comment section is turned on. We're with John Martin Keith. I'm going to read your bio here because there's some people, I don't know, there might actually be some people out here who don't know who you are. And so that's a travesty.
Probably a lot.
I'm not going to let that happen. Not on my watch. Okay. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen is all you need to know about this man. But I'm going to I like to read the bio when the people come on because sometimes I get some things inaccurate. And I mean, you've done so much in your bio so long. I had to make some editing choices here. Sure, so you let me know if there's anything in this bio that is incorrect. But sir, let me go. Let me get started here with your bio. All right, John Martin Keith, the man that you see on the screen right now, right beside me, is a singer-songwriter with Edenbrooke Music in Nashville, Tennessee. He is passionate about God, music, and has a career that spans over 20 years in the music industry. John Martin Keith, or Marty, as we know him, as I'll be calling him on this, has performed on thousands of stages performed in front of thousands, maybe 1,000 stages, but performed in front of thousands on stages and was schooled in his guitar playing by none other than Steven Curtis Chapman. Wait a minute. How did I mess this up?
I don't know.
Marty,
you're close.
This is like horseshoes this morning.
Yeah.
I'm literally reading them from teleprompter right in front of me, and I cannot get this right.
That's okay.
It must have been a late night. Marty began to learn to play the guitar at the age of 4 years old. Herb Chapman Sr. was the man who first started him out, and then Grammy award-winning Steven Curtis Chapman continued in that teaching. As a songwriter, Marty writes multiple genres, kind of like somebody we know on this show, including pop, country, praise and worship, Americana, rock, dance. He may even be a DJ. We're going to ask him here in just a moment. With some of the top hit makers in the Nashville, including some guy named Mark Irwin, Garth Brooks, Tim McGraw. Anyway, some no names. Never heard of any of these people before. I don't even know if he's an artist. Put some respect on this man's name, however, because he's an entrepreneur. Marty is the owner and founder of Edenbrooke Music. Edenbrooke Music strives to improve the quality of musical entertainment by improving talent through teaching. Edenbrooke Music offers guitar lessons, instrument sales, live sound for special events, booking and touring for artists, music production services, and many more. That is scrolling across the bottom of the screen, people, if you want to get more information on Edenbrooke. Here's the most important part. He is a family man. He is married to Keely Keith, who is incredible. She's an award-winning novelist. She's much more famous than he is. And his daughter, Rachel, who is much more talented than both of them in the area of graphic design. Marty, did I miss anything?
You about got it. The only thing that I would tweak on that is, so yes, you were correct. Herb Chapman Sr., who is Steven Curtis's father, he was my guitar teacher growing up. Now, Steven did teach me. He would sub in when Herb couldn't teach me for some reason. So
Okay.
Steven,
Did he know anything?
He knew a couple things. He's all right. He's all right.
He's all right.
Yeah. So he taught me 2 or 3 times growing up. But yeah, it's a fun little thing to throw in there. And you are correct. I was a DJ. Actually,
Woo!
yeah. So I'm like, what a day. It's freezing cold. I hate the cold like you do. I got my heater down here by my feet currently. And I was a DJ. I did weddings, DJ, all that kind of stuff for a few years. And I don't do it anymore, but I did it for a while. And yeah, so it's fun. And I think you nailed the rest of it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I've been on that scene before, the DJ scene. Mayoshi says, good morning from Johnson City.
Good morning.
And so, yeah, man, I had my space heater on, and I generally do when I'm doing prep time. But when the show starts, because I'm trying to cut down ambient sound, this is real talk. This is what the studio is like for people outside of this world.
Yep.
When the show starts, I turn the heater off. And so that was kind of for visual effect, having the blanket on. But in about 15 minutes, that is not going to be a visual effect. I am going to need a blanket because it is freezing cold in here after I turn the heater off.
Well, I'm back here in my wife's office. You mentioned my wife, Keely Brooke Keith, who is, you're correct, she is a best-selling author of a series called the Uncharted series. So people can go look Keely Brooke Keith up on the Uncharted series. Would love for them to do that. But I'm back. This is her office back because we homeschool. We do everything. We all work from home, have our home offices and studios, but we also homeschool our daughter, who is a freshman in high school at the moment. And so, we have to kind of set up and tear down our house in different ways to make up certain things. And so I'm back in her office right now instead of my studio.
Yeah, we actually wanted to get her on the show, but we figured we had to have you first before I'm trying to get to her. So she's the famous one out there.
She is way, way, way more famous than I will ever be. So, and happily so.
Well, this is interesting because our lives are such a parallel in so many ways. This week I'm preparing for a concert. And so I told Kelly, my wife, I'm going to need to take over the living room because I've got to set up all my sound equipment and I've got to calibrate some things and I've got to rehearse some things. And so I've literally got the living room commandeered. And then we have the dining room, which is small. I moved the couch into the dining room, but we also homeschool. And so that also serves as the educational space for our kids as well. And so they're doing homeschool there, we eat there, and now it's the living room also. And then there's the kitchen, which is extremely small, and then there's this little room in the back where the Erskin Music Studio and Empire takes place. And so and we're watching 2 extra kids this week. So
people think that when we do that as musicians, we do this for a living, that all of us live in mansions, and unfortunately that's just not true. You get Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson and Taylor Swift, and that's about it. Yeah. They get the big giant mansions, and then the rest of us have to contend with smaller spaces.
Yes, I actually was telling my wife, I was like, maybe maybe the reason why I don't have a studio is because maybe it would just be an unfair advantage. Like I would actually get to practice the music and do those
Yeah.
sort of things.
Yep.
So it's been fun. It's been fun. Well, I won't keep you too long this morning. Thank you for
You're good.
joining the show, and
Yeah.
thank you for being a part of this experience.
Thank
We've
you.
tried to improve a couple of things since the last time you were on here. You were gracious enough to come on, I think, season 1 or season 2. We were still trying to figure out where the on button was was at in those early seasons, but I think we've managed to figure out a few things.
Yeah, no, I'm awesome. This is awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I wanted to get started. What's the vision? Because I know there's going to be some artists that are tuning in who are saying, hey, you know, I do music. I'm talented at music. Everybody tells me I'm talented at music. But as I meet a lot of artists, they're trying to put together the pieces of their music career so that it's actually a career, not just something that's a hobby or not just something they do periodically and people, you know, clap and then they go on about their way. What's the vision that helped you to start Edenbrooke Music, and where did that come from, and how did that emerge?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't think anyone has ever actually asked me that particular question before, and it's an interesting one. So, 2000. Well, I've lived in Nashville since 2000, so I've been here for technically almost 22 years now. But in that time frame, there was after my wife and I got married and we had our daughter. 2008, we moved. I'm a worship pastor. For people who don't know that, so I lead worship at different churches and go around the country, all that kind of stuff. At the time, I didn't have a job doing that. And my old youth pastor from Paducah, Kentucky, where I'm originally from, was starting a church plant and asked me to come up and become basically the worship leader, worship pastor for that church plant. So we moved from Nashville back to Paducah, which is 2.5 hours from where we live. And I became the worship leader for this church plant. In that process, my dad was getting sick and just shortly after passed away before we moved back there. So basically we lived in Paducah for about 2.5 months, which just seems a very short period of time for that whole process. But we were miserable for one. Now, number one, we believe that God called us to do that. No doubt in our mind whatsoever, to go up there and do that. And we believe that in that 2.5 month period, we accomplished what our initial goal was to do. And that was to get them set up to move forward as a church body in that process. And we got some other people in place that took over for us that were able to kind of run that position for many years, actually. So while we were in that miserable 2.5 month period for us, and there's a lot of details that go that, I'm not going to get all that kind of stuff, but what we did determine was we sat down one night and we were both just like, we're miserable. You know,
we hate this.
We did.
Is there an eject button somewhere around here?
And there, like I said, there's a lot of behind the scenes details to it. But we said, you know, if we were to ever go back to Nashville, what will we do? And basically, the idea was we would go back and we would conquer. We're going to go back and we're going to conquer Nashville. We're going to conquer the world, and we're going to start our own empire. We're going to start our own businesses. And I'm going to, because I teach guitar, I went back to one of the things I was doing was teaching for Herb Chapman, which I'd done for many years earlier before I moved to Nashville. Okay. So I got to go back and got to work for him for a little bit. And I was also working construction and doing this stuff. And I was killing my hands. I'm like, man, this is what I do for a living, is using my hands. And I'm just destroying, them doing that. But we said, let's go back and I'm going to start my own teaching business and I'm going to get into music. I'm just going to do everything I can do under my own business name. So we did that. We came back 2.5 months later and immediately set out to start doing that kind of stuff. I created Edenbrooke Music, which is my wife and my daughter's their middle names put together, Edenbrooke. And I started guitar teaching and reached out and immediately got a student. And then I started getting more and more. And after a few months, I was able to leave my job here in Nashville that I've been doing for many years before when I was still here, and went full-time teaching guitar and loved it. And then I started adding the other stuff, started adding on where I was booking for other artists. I was doing it myself as an artist anyway, all this stuff.
Real quick, Marty. Yeah. On that day when you finally got to the threshold where you were like, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to do things the way that, I see the Lord opening things up. And you said peace to your employer for the last time. What was that day like? Just curious.
We actually went out and celebrated, and had went out and got O'Charlie's. Yeah, we went out and got O'Charlie's and celebrated because I'd started the business and had been teaching sort of on the side for, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 months, something like that, maybe a little longer. While I was delivering pizzas, and I'd done that for 6 years and enjoyed that for the most part, and loved my boss and all those things. But it was a really smooth transition. I walked in and I said, you know what, I think I'm ready to go full time with this. And she gave me her blessing and said, go for it. This is what you need to be doing. And so, said, thank you so much. Walked out the door and went to O'Charlie's and celebrated and never looked back.
You went to O'Charlie's, they celebrated, they looked at the bill and they were like, is this a good decision or not?
Nah. No, it was good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, the comment section is turned on for all of you guys who are watching today. Unfortunately, for those who are watching, there's a lot of people who watch the show, Marty, after it's already up. And so they will not get a chance to ask questions, but
that's fine.
Question comment section is turned on. I want to quickly ask you, what does it look like, since you do music full time? What does that look like from your vantage point, doing music full time? Because I think there's a lot of people out here who have a misconception, like you were talking about. They think we all live in mansions. They think we all have, these studios that are just kind of set up for us. We just kind of walk in, record, and then we go hang out for the rest of the day. What does a full-time career in music look like?
That's a good question. So for me, and for most of us, you included, that includes multiple streams of income. It's not these days, it's not one thing. You're not just an artist. You're not just a songwriter. You're not just a producer. Most people don't get to live that life any longer. Back in the 80s and 90s, back then, that was very much what you did. But nowadays, because the income from music is so much less than what it used to be. If you're an artist and you're putting out music, CDs and streaming music, whatever, the money that you get in royalties from sales, is a fraction of what it used to be. So we just can't do that kind of stuff. So for me personally, I've probably got 7 or 8 different things that I do in music. So if I can think of them all real quickly, I'm a guitar teacher. I'm a worship pastor. I'm a recording artist. I'm a songwriter. I'm a producer. I'm a booking agent. I host a podcast, which I think we're going to talk about in a minute. And I write music for TV and film projects and things like that. So there's at least 8 things there, and there's probably a couple other things I do some, on the side too. But those are all the things that I put together that allow me to make a living in music. So, and now I work for a music festival called Life Fest, and which we had you come on and play this last year. So Life Fest Music City, which we'll be doing in July this year here in Nashville area.
Awesome.
So I'm officially working with them now to help put that festival together. So
awesome. Yeah, I think at one point, last year or so, we counted 21 to 22 streams of income for what it is that we do. And that could be as small as a royalty check that comes in. It's just a couple of pennies to some of the stuff that we've done. I think we're both signed with the same acting and modeling agency. I think we're both with Advantage Talent. And so from time to time, we've run into each other at some of the auditions that we've been at. And so that's a small income stream as well. And just all those different things. But I try to categorize that in my own mind, in my own ministry, in terms of all the different music streams that we have. And I think, we're around 7 or 8. I do, some session singing from time to time for different groups. And, there's just all these different things. So if you're thinking the music industry is just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 things, hear from us today that the music industry is a wide variety of things. And this is encouraging to me, Marty. It's ever expanding because of new technologies and new platforms that are out there. There's new ways of generating income in the music industry.
Yeah, totally.
You're going to talk to us about the podcast. Share with us a little bit about what's going on with that.
Well, so the whole, what we're just talking about here with that multiple streams of income is one of the main reasons that I created this podcast. So I have a podcast called You Can Make a Living in the Music Industry. And when I talk to musicians that I want to have, or artists, whoever that I want to have on as guests that do this professionally, they usually look at me and they start laughing when I say that. They're like, really, you can make a living in the music industry? I'm like, well, you're doing it and I'm doing it. So yes, you can do it. It's very difficult. but it is possible. So, and really the goal of it, I started it because, like we said, I've been in this for 22. I've been in Nashville for 22 years now. Woo. Almost 22 years, technically.
I bet you've seen it change quite a bit over those 22 years.
Yeah. Because when I moved here in 2000, that's when the digital revolution was kicking in, the Napster and all that stuff, and everything was switching to online. iTunes was just brand new at the time, and all this kind of stuff. So, the heyday of the 90s, when it was like the peak of music industry, was kind of started crashing right when I moved here in 2000. And that's when things started changing, and so that's when we all started to scramble to come up with different ways of making a living in music. So I've seen a lot of it happen, and I've got lots of friends that do this professionally, whether they're famous artists or celebrities, all that kind of mess, or if they're like us, they're working class musicians who are just grinding it out every day, making a living. So I wanted to create this podcast where the audience, listeners, people that are wanting to make a living in music, or are currently are doing it, but are trying to get up to that next level, right? We keep hitting these glass ceilings that some of us just feel like we can't break through sometimes. And so I wanted an opportunity to have guests on that could tell their story and say, okay, this is how I got started. This is why I got into music. This is where I started. I got my foot in the door doing this, and that led into this, and that led into this, and I built this relationship, and now we're doing this, and it's led them up to, they're the CEO of a record label, or they're A&R of a record label, or a publishing company, or they're Garth Brooks now, or whoever. So, I've got guests that have done pretty much every facet of the music industry that you can think of. Almost. I'm still got a few that I'm still trying to get in, like some different positions that we haven't really hit on yet, that seem obscure, but they're all important. They all make the business work. And so they all intertwines to make what we do for a living happen for everybody, for the listener.
Let me know about your attitude about this. I've got a lot of friends also who are in the music industry who have been here in Nashville for a long time, and they have sort of lamented, both personally and then collectively, that the age and the time has changed for people to be able to get signed with a record label, have a productive career, and then move on to some other things, and have it all be sort of streamlined in the quote unquote music industry. And I've often said to them, man, I really don't know what that would have been like if I would have been here in the 90s, with my, if I could teleport through time. There just don't seem to have been as many opportunities. So if you didn't get signed by a record label, sort of the working class musician that you're talking about, the working class entrepreneur in music, there just didn't seem to be a lot of those portals that were available at the time. And I don't know that I would have been able to be successful and be able to do music had I been here in the 90s if I didn't get signed to a label. Is that the sense that you get?
Yeah, I would agree with that, at least for the most part. We could sit and debate details on it, but I think overall you're correct. I know people that were very, very successful in the 90s at the height, especially in country music. That was really the height of it for country.
And I don't really do country music, so.
Well, but I mean, in all of it, I would say music in general, was the 90s was like the peak. And then 2000 hit, Napster, iTunes, internet, and it just started dropping for everybody, for the most part. So, yes, I would agree and say that people that were successful at that time, a lot of them have been sort of bitter. Maybe it's a strong word, apathetic.
Yeah.
Towards it, in the way that things have changed. But yes, I agree that you and I and artists like us that are being able to do what we do now and having success, though it may not be on the level where we're on MTV or CMT or, selling millions of copies of albums, whatever. We're not doing those things, and that's okay. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So, but what has allowed us, technology has allowed us to be able to be successful, and many millions and millions of other artists and musicians, nowadays in ways that you're right, they could not have been back in the older days, where you did have to get signed. Like if you didn't get signed to a label back then, you're out of luck pretty much, if you're trying to be an artist, or something like that. But now you can, it's free reign. You can just go, you load something up on YouTube and off and running, or Facebook, whatever, and there you go. Put it on Spotify and you create your own career. But, all that being said, there are still things that you need to be able to do correctly and do it well in order for you to get a platform for people to know who you are. If you're going to really pursue that kind of a thing.
Sure. Share with us a couple of those things. Like I said, I don't want to take up all your time today, but if you could share with us a couple of those things, because there's some people out there that are saying, hey, I've got this and I've got that in place. It still doesn't seem to be coming together for me. What are some of those essentials that you need to be able to have a career in music?
Well, nowadays, I mean, everyone's probably heard this, but website. You really do just need to have a website. And I would say don't just do a Facebook page. It's important. It's good to have. YouTube page is great to have if you've got it and can do it. But if you're wanting to be a touring artist, recording artist, and you're wanting to go out and tour the country and play shows at different venues, whatever, regardless if it's Christian music or mainstream music or whatever, it doesn't matter, because you still got to go out and book the shows and get an audience. So if you don't have a website where whoever the venue is, if they don't know how to listen to your music and hear what you sound like, be able to see what you do, what you look like on video, so they have an idea what your show is going to be, maybe, and have a way to contact you, for people to see where you're going to be, all that kind of stuff. That like your website is your hub. Like that's telling everybody what you do and how to get in touch with you and all that kind of stuff. That's really your business card nowadays. And if you've got one and it's a junky one from 1996,
those junky years
when the internet was just getting started and your stuff still looks like that, people are immediately they're not going to even attempt, and you can get a free website now that's brand new and you can build it yourself, all this kind of stuff. So there are things that you can do, but I think that's really the sort of the foundation is you have to have that kind of stuff for people to know who you are and to be able to get your stuff out there. So that's where I would start. Now, if you're trying to get music, on streaming platforms so you can sell your music or people can listen, and you got Spotify and those types of things. You can just put your music up there, and I've got a page where you can go listen to my music on Spotify. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to
those details are down at the bottom, by the way. If you're looking at this and you're like, hey, I want to look up John Martin Keith, go to his website. His music is right there. Everything that he's talking about is right there in front of you on that website.
Yeah. But if you're going to try to do like something like Spotify or whatever and really do it well, and I haven't, I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't care at this point. I got so much other stuff going on that I'm focusing on that's not a huge really thing that I really think about right now in my life, in my career. I've got other stuff that I'm sort of focusing on, but it's there and people can go check it out. And I would love for you to. But now I've got a guest that's been on my website, been on my podcast, season 2. So if you go listen on season 2, there's an episode that's basically titled Spotify or streaming on Spotify or something like that.
Okay.
So go listen to that episode. It's really, really good because it's this company that their whole thing is getting artists onto Spotify, into playlists, and how you do all that and do it really, really well. And he used to work with Taylor Swift and, with her career back in the day and all this kind of stuff. So
I think I may have met some of those folks.
Yeah. So it's a really, really good episode. I can't think of the title of it at the moment. It's season 2 and it says Spotify in the title of the episode. So
playlisting and all those important things in that world.
Yeah, but it's really detailed, and there are a lot of things that we don't think about. It's like we think, oh, just throw it up on Spotify and you're good to go. No, there's a whole rat race to getting all that stuff done really, really well. That gets your stuff into a position that people can find it real easily and gets it on these certain playlists and all this kind of stuff. So I would definitely start at those places if that's what you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say real quick is if you're wanting to get into, if you're not an artist, let's say you wanted to go, you want to be a songwriter, or you want to work for a publishing company, which if you're a songwriter and you want to get your songs recorded by other artists, then you have to be able to get them published by a publisher. So if you're wanting to write for a publisher, or you're wanting to be a publisher or work in the publishing industry for songs, then you've got to figure out how to get into the door to do those types of things. And really all this comes back down to relationships. And you'll hear that over and over and over in my podcast that we talk about almost every episode, that relationships are king. But if you're listening right now, you're watching, and you happen to be going to college for music, wanting to get into music, one of the biggest things is internships, because an internship is going to get you in the door at a publishing company or at a record label to learn how that side of the business side of the music industry works. And so an internship is like the most important thing that you pretty much do, because it's going to get you access to learn about all this stuff. You're going to immediately start building relationships with people that are doing those things. And then if you stick around long enough and you do what you're supposed to do, then you've got to end just to work your way up in that company, or even if you leave to go do something else, then you've got access to these people that can help you. And so that's one of the keys that takeaways from some of the episodes of my podcast, some of my guests, or those types of things.
Lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much for this. We need to do this again.
Please.
You're a guest of the show, a friend of the show, and so you're always invited back.
Thank you.
Look forward to having you in subsequent seasons, but you've got all of the contact information that you need down at the bottom. Please get in contact with Marty, as we've been talking about on this show, and we'll say it time and time again. You know, there's access there, and there's opportunity for you to connect with Edenbrooke Music, with Marty, and to see some of the things that he's doing, which may spur even some ideas about some things that you're able to do in the music industry, and may open up some things that you've never even thought of before, that are streams and connections and relationships that you're going to need to be able to do music as a career. Thank you, Marty, for coming on.
Yes, sir.
Thanks we said hello.
I will. Thanks for having me, buddy.
I'm sure we'll chat soon.
Yep, let's do it. See you.
All right. God bless.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. That was Marty Keith, John Martin Keith, by his professional name and title there. And just such a wonderful guest. So insightful. We probably need to do 2 segments. We probably need to break that thing up into 2 days at some point. I didn't want to take all of his time today, but just an incredible guest, and we're going to give him fireworks. Again, if you are watching us on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and or Twitter, keep doing that. But remember to hit the subscribe button, the like button, so that it'll enable the notifications, and you can rock out with us all the time. Question and comments are still on. I want to do a couple things before we end the show today. I don't want to take forever to do this, but I did want to give you guys just a quick note of the theology of worship. And I put this in the show notes for today. Colossians 3:23, that whatever we do, work heartily as to the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive your inheritance and the reward that you are serving the Lord. That's Colossians 3:23 and 24. So I want to have a quick devotional today, and we're going to talk about the theology of work for just a few moments, because there's a lot of work that's involved in the music industry. So let's get to our Bible time. Hallelujah. Okay, that's enough of that. All right. Hallelujah. Okay. Sorry. There's never enough of that. But I did want to get to the story so that we can get in and get out today. But here's the deal. Here's a few jobs that maybe you haven't thought of before in reference to working for the Lord and working heartily. Did you know that a billboard installer, we see billboards all the time. They're the things that say, did advertising work? It just did. Incredible. But did you know that if you install billboards, you can make over $44,000 a year? What about a Braille proofreader? I didn't even know that was a job. Raise your hand out there if you didn't know that was a job either. Are you a Braille proofreader? Braille needs proofreaders as well. A language that it totally makes sense, but I didn't know that you can make over $40,000 a year being a Braille proofreader. How about an airplane painter? Let's just say there's more to do than we could probably even think of on this show. But whatever we do to serve the Lord. But we serve the Lord with, and here's the big key, I think, in this text as I'm thinking about it, we serve the Lord with a sense of enthusiasm. In that interview with John Martin Keith, you got a chance to see his passion. I wanted to key in specifically. You saw I went there like a missile on the day when he said to his employer, I think that we're going to make the shift now, and I'm going to begin to work for myself. Entrepreneurial mindset kicked in, and he had already had some things that were working in the background. What did he do? Was he sad? Was he crying in his bowl of milk? No, he was enthusiastically going out and celebrating because he knew, I'm going to get to apply my work, apply my heart, apply my family situation to the work that God has put in front of us, and we're going to go and get it. That's my theme for this year, 2022. Tell my kids this all the time. Tell people on my team this all the time. 3 words: go get it. That's what we're all about. And to do that with enthusiasm, give you guys a quick testimony, because I know some of you guys were praying for us last night. We were at Cabana Taps last night, and we had a thing called Jesus in the Bar. Absolutely incredible. I would say nigh unto miraculous. I mean, some people would say, well, this doesn't really conform to a miracle. But what happened is we got double booked last night. And so there was a round of BMI writers, and then there was a round of Christian music writers who were there at the same time. And we can't both be on stage at the same time. And so do you cancel the BMI writers? No, we can't do that. That would be totally bad for them. They reserved a spot there. Do you cancel the Jesus people? Well, that would be terrible for them. You can't cancel Jesus. And so we've kind of got this standoff situation of what are we going to do? And so we both graciously, kudos to BMI and their group that was there last night, agreed that we'll cut down our sets and we'll perform on stage together, not together, but we'll do a smaller set and then they'll do a smaller set, and then we'll both occupy the time that was there. So we got in and we did Jesus in a Bar last night, and it was incredible. The place was packed. And I told people when we first heard that we were double booked, this is a blessing in disguise, because there's going to be more people here, people who are just milling around, people who came to hear somebody else, people who didn't know that there was Jesus in the Bar, who are just going to be there, that would not probably otherwise have been there. I think that, there was a couple of groups that heard about it online, and a couple of Bible study college groups that came last night just to check out Jesus in a Bar, but there wouldn't have been near as many people had there been if it was just the Jesus in a Bar thing. And so double book us anytime. But one of the incredible things about that is the performances that were given, especially by those Christian artists, were enthusiastic performances. Wasn't church. There's music that is for the church, and, we love you, Lord, praise you, hallelujah. Oh, yeah, we got a choir for that. Okay, so there's that. We can do that. That's wonderful in the church. See, come on, praise him. But then there's music that comes from the church, and there's those who have been impacted by the church, myself included, who come and absolutely, I can't say a bad word. That's one of my resolutions for season 4. No bad words on your show, because there's kids who watch this show. I know it. All right, so just performed my little hiney off last night, just to give the absolute best performance that I possibly could. Why? So I could get signed to a label? No, I don't want to get signed to a label. Why? So I could impress the people there? No, so that we can reach people for Christ. So many conversations were had last night after the performance, about the performance, the enthusiasm that we had, the passion that we had, the transparency that we had. And last time I checked, what Paul is talking about in this passage of scripture is serving the Lord with your whole heart, serving the Lord and knowing it is unto the Lord. There are people who knows, seeds were planted last night. They may end up coming to the Lord as a result of what happened last night. Praise be to God. So we're going to land the plane. We're at 44 minutes. Like I said, we ain't playing around. All right. Let me get down to the bottom of the comment section. Yes, ma'am. I'm watching my mouth. I have not said any bad words this entire season, and I'm going to keep that streak going today. This has been the Erskin Music Show, but we haven't played any Erskin music. Did you notice that? So I'm going to give you for the outro today some Erskin music. Anybody got any requests today? Because if not, I'm going to go to speak up. Oh, you didn't speak up fast enough. But the comment section will be turned on. I got to do Just Dance because tomorrow, by way of announcement, I think we're still doing the Just Dance party. As of right now, the Just Dance party is still going on. The album party, it's going to be a celebration. I know we've had some winter weather. There's a little wintry mix that's out there, but I think the temperatures are going to be, and we didn't get as much as what we thought, even though it's really cold in this room right now. I'm surprised I can't see my breath. Okay, can't see my breath, but it's not that cold in here. But at any rate, Just Dance party is tomorrow, and so I'm going to play the song Just Dance. That seems to make sense. This has been the Erskin Music Show. God bless. Comment section is turned on to the end of the song, which will be the end of the show. Talk to you soon.
Look up, people. It's time to sing out loud. We're not ashamed. We're lifting up his name. Come on, people. We're gonna sing out loud. We're not ashamed. We're lifting up his name. Moving forward, pressing onward, bolder, stronger. Jesus, only Savior. Just dance, everybody. We're gonna raise him like a party. Just dance to the music. Nothing but love is how we do this. Yeah, Jesus reigns. Let all the people shout. We wanna praise. It's what we're all about. Like David danced, jumping all around. Our God reigns. Worship and bow down, yeah. Moving forward, pressing onward, bolder,